everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Disability Landscape. I'm your host, Charlie Brose, and with me today I have special guest host, Shawn Corbin, who represents the northern part of Minnesota, and he's got his lucky Duluth Bulldogs jersey on this morning, and and he's going to introduce a friend of his from up the Duluth area. And Shawn, take it away.
Yeah, we're here with Amanda Crosby, who is the Independent Living Services Coordinator at Access North Independent Living in Duluth. Hi, Amanda.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hope you're keeping relatively warm and completely virus-free.
Yep. Same and same.
I guess we'll start with what is an independent living center?
Yeah, thanks. So Centers for Independent Living, or CILs as we call them, are consumer-controlled, community-based, private nonprofit agencies. What's really neat is 51% of all of our staff and board members, at least 51%, are persons with disabilities. So we really like to practice what we preach. We are one of 8 CILs in Minnesota, and actually one of 403 CILs in the United States.
Wow.
And of course, it was started back in 1973 by a small group of advocates coming out of that, what's the word I'm looking for? The movement, civil rights movement.
Independent living.
So it was started.
There you go.
We actually, I like to tell people that I work for a movement, and a Center for Independent Living is more of a culture, I would say, than an actual business.
Okay.
Now, when you say culture, what do you mean by that?
So, we are here to actually have individuals be as independent as possible. All of our services are consumer controlled and consumer driven. We have several services that we provide, but one of our biggest services is that systems advocacy piece, just making sure we're working with our local communities, local governments, state governments, to make sure that individuals with disabilities have a voice and have the same opportunities as everyone else, and that services are equitable. So that's a huge part of it. So we're not an agency that's going to force you or tell you what to do. We are really here to help guide you and connect you to resources and teach you skills so you can be independent. So those skills might be as simple as learning to cook on your own, or it could be as complex as getting connected to more long-term services. But that movement piece is, it comes right out of that civil rights movement where people with disabilities in particular are feeling disparities, and they weren't our communities weren't accessible, buildings weren't accessible, schools weren't accessible. So just working towards universal design for all, physical design, and just the world in general being more accessible for people with disabilities.
And we're 30 years plus in on the ADA, and I presume that has helped kind of make your job a little easier.
It does, yes.
And that's always a good thing. And but what are the core things that your organization does up there that might be unique from, say, what happens in the Twin Cities?
Sure. So all Centers for Independent Living have the same 5 core services. And I know that I won't talk about them too much, but that's those independent living skills training, information and referral services, systems advocacy. We do have groups and classes, and then we do transition services. And that transition is assisting adults or children get out of a environment, mostly nursing homes, to get back into the community.
Okay.
But also helps individuals who are of high school age get connected to the world. So maybe that's college, employment, housing, just skills to live independently.
Okay.
So we have those, all of us have those same core services. And then we have these other services that we call fee for service. And, we are state and federally funded, and we appreciate any funding that we get. But I like to joke that we're state and federally underfunded. So we have to have these fee for service opportunities to help serve our counties that we serve. So we are one of, I mentioned this earlier, but we're one of 8 CILs in Minnesota, but we serve 10 counties in northeastern Minnesota.
Okay.
And so the funding that we get only allows for us to have a certain amount of staff. So the more services that we can provide that are fee-based, the more individuals that we are able to serve. So some of those fee-based services include a contract with vocational rehabilitation services through that
Okay.
Career Force Center. So we work to help people with those independent living skills really focused and related to employment. We also have a couple of benefits planners on staff, and benefits planners came out of a project called the SGA project that really focuses on individuals getting back to work who have benefits such as Social Security benefits, and even those county benefits that they might have, like SNAP or general assistance. Medical is huge. So people
Oh
are
yeah.
so nervous. It seems like the system in the past has really set people up to get on these programming, and then they almost scare you into getting back to work. So we are trying to break down those barriers and let people know that working is actually really advantageous, and there's a lot of protections out there. So that's something that I just like to talk about that's really unique, that we can help guide people and really make them feel comfortable and give them those informed choices so they can feel like they can make a really good decision about their employment
Okay.
and their benefits. Um, in addition to that, we have a PCA Choice program. So PCA Choice is that individual who's coming in and utilizing services is hiring their staff, managing their staff. We are here to train, oversee, and pay. But it's really the consumer who is directing their care and their plans and their staffing.
Okay.
And we also work with counties under their waiver programs. So we call it 245D. So which is a regulatory term, but we work with
Mhm.
those counties to help people in their homes become more independent. So that's a little bit more that we can do outside of our core services because we are getting paid to be there, and to maybe it's just like housekeeping under our homemaking services, or maybe it is more I'm moving out on my own and I need to know how I can be independent and successful. So that's really exciting, and that's a little bit newer. We've been doing it for a couple of years, but we're really, really focusing on getting the word out on that, because that's just, I'm a little bit biased, but I do feel that because we are a center for independent living and we are that disability resource center, and we do have that culture and movement in our hearts, that we are the best to provide these services to people. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention our home access programs.
Oh, okay.
So we, every now and then we get a little bit of grant funding to help individuals stay in their home. So right now, this would actually be specific to the Duluth area, as well as we have a grant called the Live Well at Home grant that if you fall into a certain category of funding, which we really usually don't pay attention to because our core services are free of
Okay.
charge,
Yeah.
which is great. But if you're in this little funding bracket, we can help get you connected to. Maybe it's something as simple as a couple grab bars in your bathroom or a raised toilet. Um, Maybe it's more complex, like putting a ramp on your home or widening doorways in your home. We are really, really focused on helping people age in place. That's really important to us. If that's the person's goal and initiative that they want to live at home, then we're going to try to help that and make that happen. So We also do ramps private pay on a sliding fee scale, very reasonable. Payments
Okay.
can be as low as $10, $20 a month until they're paid off. And we also work with counties to help fund those home accessibility projects as well. So there's a few opportunities, but that's a really just great and it's just popular, especially as we see the boomers aging and
Sure.
needing more assistance and really wanting to stay in their home and not go into the nursing home environment. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but it is, I mean, we're talking millions of dollars that we can save as a state. I mean, I hate to talk to people as in terms of money, but really it's better for the person and it's better for our tax dollars in general, because those can go into other programming that is maybe lacking. So it saves
Yeah.
like, I think, millions to billions of dollars a year helping people stay in their homes. So those are some of our unique.
Not to mention that. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this
No,
not
that
to
was it.
mention that people don't want to live in a nursing home?
No, no, I certainly don't. I certainly
Yeah.
don't.
No,
And I've been
no,
assuring all of
exactly.
my aging parents that I will not let them go there. Trust me, I will not let you go there.
Threaten them by sending them to the home. That was on 60 Minutes. So, how has COVID affected the agency and delivery of services? I mean, it's you do a lot of one-on-one stuff. I mean, that's got to be difficult now.
Yeah, so it was a shock. It happened really quickly, as you all know. It was
Yeah.
just we're coming in, we're doing our services, and then one day it's just like, nope, we can't. So we worked really, really hard as an agency to come up with really safe practices so we could work remotely, but also serve our populations the best that we can. At first we started doing things like this, meeting over Zoom.
Sure.
We were able to purchase a couple Zoom accounts so we could have that availability and meet with people this way. But honestly, this isn't the best way for everybody, for a lot of people, especially with our aging populations and people who are already feeling isolated. This was just another layer of isolation. So what we did as an agency, the IL team, we called every person that was, on our listed as an active consumer and just
Mhm.
asked general questions like, how are you doing? Like, what do you need? Do you have access to food? Can you get to your medical provider? Um, have you been getting medications? How are you socializing? So we were just asked those general questions and we were able to help them connect individuals with other resources that way. And then as we started getting smarter and working, not working harder, working smarter in the pandemic, we were able to provide PPE to all of our staff, many of our consumers. We were able to get PPE out to, and then we started opening it up to work with people in person. So if people are really feeling comfortable and they need that, interaction, and this Zoom or computer or phone isn't doing it, we have our offices open by appointment only, so people can come in that way, answer a series of questions, make sure they're wearing masks, PPE, being safe. And then we also have been being able to go into individual homes as well. Just making sure that we're all being safe. And so as we've been going, we've been opening up our services a little bit more and more, which has been really great. We still are, for the most part, working remotely, and we'll probably continue that for the foreseeable future. But just letting people out there know that we are available to be like a human warm body that can come and work with them, I think is going to be really valuable to a lot of individuals. And then after a while, we got to be a part of this. It's called the Community COVID Coordinator, or the CCC Coordinator. So Access North is a CCC Community COVID Coordinator. And we are here to answer any and all questions we can about COVID, the pandemic. educating people about vaccinations, helping individuals sign up for vaccinations, which has been really, so we're going through the 1A phase, of course, which is essential workers. So we made sure that all of our staff, including our direct support professionals and PCAs that work with those consumers in those programs, got their vaccinations. And then now they're opening it up to 65 and older, so that we've been pretty busy helping people, individuals who are aging, get connected to these vaccines. What they did, and this is no one's fault because it's just easier. I don't know how they're just rolling it out the best that they can. But a lot of it is online. You have to go to a website and have an email and have a little bit of technological experience. And, I might be talking to a 90-year-old who has no access to a computer. So that way that I can help over the phone or go with them in person and help them sign up for that vaccine. So that's been a really a blessing that we are able to actually have this information and then be able to help people that way too.
So now the region you cover, it's quite rural, I imagine. And so you have a lot of clients that are, in smaller population areas. With the COVID and the challenges here, what kind of challenges have you had to overcome to be able to continue to reach your client base in, such a small rural communities that you serve up there?
Yeah, so it's kind of, the pandemic didn't really, we kind of have the same issues maybe reading those rural individuals. The difference that this pandemic has had is that we haven't been able to have a community presence. We really like to drive to these smaller towns and connect with, maybe it's local county services or aging in place resources or other, like Live Well, or just come to a place and say, hey, we're here, this is what we do. We go to a lot of I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but Community Connects. Those were really huge for us, where we're in like veterans fairs and just things that we haven't been able to be a part of this year, where I think getting the word out that we're here and we're available. So, we try, if you hear about us and you're working with us and you're a consumer of ours, then we would be able to meet you the same as we would before. But I think it's just getting the word out that we're here and reaching new populations has been a challenge.
Okay. Do with the 10 counties that you service, do you have satellite facilities throughout the area, or do you have one general office?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Our main office is actually out of Hibbing, Minnesota.
Okay.
We are a branch office in Duluth. We also have a branch office in Brainerd and Walker. So between these kind of 4 spread out offices, we're able to serve our 10 county area. In Duluth in particular, we'll go all the way up to the Canadian border, all the way down to Pine County. So we kind of keep this like skinny edge. And then the Hibbing office, of course, will serve up and over, and then Walker, Brainerd, they kind of overlap a little bit, but they kind of have that western part of our service area. And we have at least one independent living specialist in each office location. Hibbing has 2, Duluth has 2, and Brainerd and Walker have 1 person. Which, we like to call it a skeleton crew, but it's a crew of like really highly motivated individuals who can do a lot, grassroots style. We're just doing as much as we can with what we have.
Okay.
So that brings me, like, how are you as staff doing? I mean, are you you guys holding up? I mean, because a lot of disabled people rely on you guys. We need to keep you guys healthy.
I agree. So for the most part, holding up. We are here. We're still working. I gotta say, it was really, really, really tough in the beginning. There was just so many fears and questions and worry. And then a lot of our staff too, like, we're dealing with isolation the same way that those we serve were. And we have people on staff who are super social and need that human connection. So that was really hard to get over. And then just that adjusting, I must say, Access North did a really amazing job about giving us supports in our homes so we could work remotely and feel comfortable doing that. And we all staff meeting where we went over, best practices to work from home with a real big focus on keeping those, like, your mental health, like your health is so important. We need to be feeling comfortable and that we're taken care of before we can actually go out and help others. So we try to, we're doing the best we can. I think we're doing really good now. What we've been doing is meeting a lot remotely. So we were meeting weekly, but now we meet once a month just to have an actual meeting on COVID. I mean, we just talk about COVID and we just talk about the issues were coming up, and that's all of our staff get together to do that. And then our individual teams are meeting weekly, which I've been really happy with. It seems like during a pandemic, you would feel less connected to your team, but because we've been saying, let's just meet as much as we can, let's just get together. Even if we have nothing to say, let's just meet. That's been really helpful, just to have that connection. And I feel that we've gotten pretty close as a team just because. And we've been trying to meet in person as we can as well.
Do you think that the COVID has changed or will change the way you guys do things even afterwards? Like maybe trying to connect more as staff, or
I do. When we go, so we were meeting once a month prior. I don't like it. I think we meet once a month in person, and now we still meet weekly via Zoom like this. What's nice about this too is that it has saved on some drive time. 10 counties is a lot to drive. A lot of my time was windshield time. And again, if a person really wants to meet in person, we'll drive there and we'll do it. But if they're like okay with just doing this, wow, I feel like I have like a whole extra 20 hours a week sometimes to get more work done. So I think we've been able to work really efficiently. And we have been offering virtual groups and classes, which I will admit have not been that popular thus far. But we do have what we found when we talked to individuals is that the isolation and that social connection no one really wants to learn how to cook right now, right? Okay, so what they're working on is just getting an opportunity to get together. So we scratched off all of those other kind of skills type classes that we were offering, and we're really just offering opportunities for social engagement. So we have we have one set aside just for younger adults to get together, and then we have some for all ages. And it's just and if you ever want those, I can send them out. They're going to be starting up in a couple of weeks here. And I'm just really excited to see how this goes. We even thought about hosting like a movie night, so people could just come together and feel like they're watching a movie with each other. I attempted and failed at a book club. I thought everyone might be interested in doing a book club, but we bought like an Audible account and we thought we'd listen together and then we'd talk about it, but that was a failure. So, we're trying things and we're learning as we go. But really, we're just focusing on the social right now. And then hopefully when we can get back together, we'll start up some of those skills classes again.
Well, and definitely social interaction is a key part of just humanity in itself.
Yep.
And, that's been taken away for the last 10 months, a year now. And so people are they're adjusting, but there's still nothing better than just getting together and talking face to face.
Yep.
And, hopefully one day I can get up to Duluth and we can do that with you.
Yes. Yes. This is one of our, I'm sorry, Shawn, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say our staff out of Walker, he just had this great idea, and he tried it out on the team. He's just going to read Trivial Pursuit questions for like an hour and you can come in and just listen and just answer if you want to. But I thought, well, that's such a neat idea. And he kind of tricked us and tried it on us before he brought it to the group. And we were like, as a team, just so excited and answering questions, and it was really engaging. So just any ideas that people have, we've been running with, because it's
Um,
Um,
Amanda, we greatly appreciate your time. We're about out of time here today. But we'd love to connect with you once, things start to get a little more normal, hopefully by the summer, and, follow up and see how things have changed and gotten better, hopefully. And, definitely want to keep in touch. And so I'm going to bring Shawn in here. Shawn, thank you for joining us today. Amanda, thank you for joining us. Uh, my
thank
name
you.
is Charlie
You're
Rose
welcome.
with Shawn Corbin and Amanda Crosby, and this has been Disability Landscape. We'll see you next time.